On behalf of Brotherhood Sister Soul, I have the pleasure of welcoming Rosario Dawson. She is an artist and activist. She also received the Frida Kahlo Award for Innovative Creativity from the Brotherhood Sister Soul in 2011 and has been a longtime supporter and advocate for our work. She co-founded Voto Latino and has worked tirelessly on issues of the enfranchisement and voting rights, supporting dreamers, women's rights, and issues of immigration. So she joins us tonight for Brosis Rising, our celebration, and I welcome my friend Rosario. Hey Rosario, how are you tonight?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate so much you having this conversation with me and this time where we're celebrating 25 years of Brotherhood Sister Soul and Brosis Rising. It just means a tremendous amount to have you with us and your presence. And, in 2011, we were so honored to honor you with our Frida Kahlo Award for Innovative Creativity. And I'm wondering how you reflect on the intersection of art and activism and how you stay true to being an artist and so clearly and unapologetically and fiercely an activist as well.
Well, I have to say also, it really meant a lot to me with Frida, that especially that you have that named the Frida Kahlo Award and that we continue to honor her and keep her alive and present with us, And one of the things that I really loved about her art as well is just how unflinchingly she just made her own life experience very present for people, her healthcare issues, her love for the environment and nature. And I think those are the types of things that have been guiding lights for me and my work. We take things like politics and healthcare and women's rights to the forefront of anything and everything that we do. It's not a side gig, it's not a side kind of event. It's embedded in the entirety of the fabric of the work that I do and that we do. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've responded so much to you and been so impressed by you over these years, because that's been how you've navigated the world, is understanding that all of these pieces come together.
I do think some of it comes actually from, like a shared experience and upbringing that we both had. I think some of this issue around intersectionality was just the New York we grew up in and the way
Mhm.
we grew up in these environments where so many issues we saw as our own, that we saw as things we were interconnected to. It wasn't like we had to take a step to think about intersectionality. We were actually raised in an intersectional, interconnected way. And I think it really was like the impetus for a lot of the work I do. I know the worldview that we both bring to this.
And I think that we're seeing that in a very real way right now, as it's beautiful to step outside and cheer and clap at 7 p.m. for our essential workers. But unless we are making sure that folks are getting paid properly, that they're getting the health care that they need, that they're getting the access to education and housing and all of the stuff that they need, we're going to see the same exact thing in the years to come, where there's going to be a huge gaps in communities of people who are no longer with us, who should be, who could have been, because there wasn't enough nurture and care put into how our systems.
Hmm.
And we're being robbed of that. I mean, we've lost hundreds of thousands of people, and most of them of color, most of them women, most of them people who didn't have access to resources that they could have really needed, essential workers. And those gaps are going to be very much felt in their families and in their communities in a way that's going to cause generational harm.
Absolutely.
And so again, like, I bring this back to you, Kari, because what you're doing and the space that you're creating and the foothold that it's going to have in that community, the presence that it has, it's going to make a huge difference to fill in a lot of those gaps that maybe teachers and parents who are having to work or whatever it is missing for people. And I just thank you, because it's and sometimes it can feel like a drop in the bucket, but thank God for that drop, because we need it.
So, Rosario, when we think about some of the most essential issues we're facing today as a nation, as a community, when I think about what Brotherhood Sister Soul is facing with our young people, what the Lower East Side Girls Club are facing with their young people, the issue of immigration, of how we treat and respond to so many folks in this country who are undocumented and deserve a path towards citizenship, when we talk about dreamers, You've been a leading voice on this issue, and we've just come through a unbelievably combative political season where so many folks who are immigrants were demonized by the previous administration. I'm wondering what your thought, how you're feeling now. What's the way forward? Are you confident? Do you see the light?
I have hope, for sure. I've just seen too much organizing on the ground. Young people, especially undocumented and unafraid, who are willing to put themselves out there and create community around these issues and visibility to each other, because it's felt like an other issue and an invisible issue, I think, for a lot of folks. Seeing children being separated from their parents at the border, I think, was very galvanizing for a lot of people to step up and lead with humanity. I've watched so many different people kind of come forward, and we are going to pass this Dreamers Act, the Promise Act. Like, we are going to make this stuff happen. It might not be yesterday or today, and maybe not tomorrow, but it's coming. Its time is definitely coming because it needs to, and it's time for it to. And I think that one of the powerful things we've seen from Black Lives Matter just this past year and where it started in these past years is what organizing and community building can do to really kind of push meaningful agendas forward and help educate people as to why they even have certain biases and prejudices that have stopped them from being able to be more active in these spaces. And that's really, that's what blew my mind this past year, is how much education was embedded to the organizing.
This has been an incredibly difficult time for the world, for the country, for our communities. And I know that one issue you've worked so centrally on is the issue of voting, of enfranchisement, of both pushing people to vote who have the right to vote and then expanding the right to vote. And I'm wondering, when you think about what has been revealed over the last year and you think about this arc of your career, of your activist career on this issue of voting, how you see the two interconnected and how you see the power of voting and the political engagement speaking to the time we're in and the work that needs to be done.
Wow. I have to say, it was so interesting. With Voto Latino, we've registered over 1 million people in these past 15 years, and 600,000 of them was last year, meeting that particular moment. But so much of it, too, is having the populace recognize how critically important that vote is. Voting isn't the end-all, be-all of what we need to do, but it is a central piece, an organizing piece and tool to really get the work that we want to see done. And voting really matters. It makes a difference who your leadership is. And I just want to say thank you so much again for this wonderful conversation, because I always love talking to you, but also for just the incredible work that you've continued to do and to be that light in the darkness for so many people.
You thank me, but I thank you. This is a celebration of Brosis Rising. And so to have you join us as a former honoree, as an artist and an activist, as somebody who's done so much, beautiful work in both of those two spaces, it's just appropriate to have you join us for this celebration. It means a lot to have you with us, and I thank you, Rosario.